What's going on, y'all? It's JD Pickell with On 3 today on the Hard Count. I'm going to tell you why Florida's Anthony Richardson is poised for a big 2022. Welcome into the Hard Count, the People Show, for every single thing that you know and that you love about college football. It happens here on a daily basis. Nick Break, doing the heavy lifting. You can help drive the show by subscribing to the channel. We are very close to 10,000. We want you along for the ride. That's all I'm going to say. Roll party. Anthony Richardson is, by all accounts, going to be the starting quarterback for the Florida Gators when they open up against Utah. There has been a lot of buzz about Anthony Richardson. Has since dropped the AR-15 nickname, is talking about life after football, is giving a very mature communication style at media days. Like, the guy just seems like he's putting it together. And there's a lot of excitement about him in Gainesville. Like I mentioned, I'm going to tell you some things that I think are going to bode well for him for this upcoming season and why I'm buying stock in Anthony Richardson. A lot of stock, actually. I think I'm going to be pretty wealthy if this stock hits. All that's to say, the first thing that I'm excited about for Anthony Richardson is he has now more or less been thrown the keys to the car that is the Florida football program. Because if you remember a season ago, it was him and Emory Jones going back and forth every couple games. And when you have two quarterbacks, folks, you don't have any. There's a reason why we only have one president. Okay? Football and politics, not the same thing. We talk a lot more about the former rather than the latter, but all that's to say, you got to have a leader. You got to have somebody running the show. And so as a quarterback, to not have to look over your shoulder every other series, I threw interception. Am I going to get pulled? That was a bad pass, made the wrong read. Am I going to get pulled? To have the security that, no, this is my team. This is my offense. We're going to go as I'm going to go. Billy Napier, to buy into Anthony Richardson and to allow him to make those mistakes and still be the starting quarterback, that does a lot for a kid's confidence, does a lot for his psyche, does a lot for his mentality. You start playing a lot more free when you know that your playing time doesn't hinge on every single move you make, every single decision you make. And so for Anthony Richardson to be able to have that freedom, I think is going to pay dividends for him, honestly. I think it'll be a phenomenal freedom. It'll be a phenomenal change to his game. Because if you've watched Anthony Richardson, he has so much athleticism, so much just natural ability. To bridle that by having the anxiety of having another guy behind you that could potentially take the next snap does a disservice. It puts a governor on his motor. To let that motor run free is going to be a really good thing for Florida's offense. The second part of this is Florida's offense. Billy Napier runs a quarterback system that is very much leaning on how he plays, but in a lot of ways also it simplifies some things for him. If you watch what this offense does, they do motions just about every play. So to the untrained eye, you say, okay, big deal. That's good for some movement. Maybe gets the defense on their heels, I suppose. But even more so for a quarterback, it allows you to have a much more simplistic picture of what you're looking at on defense. Because that motion, in theory, should allow the defense to have less ability to lie. And so when you know what you're looking at as a quarterback before the play even starts, your processing is much quicker. You're able to know where you're going with the football sometimes even before the play starts. And it just allows you to play a step ahead. For Anthony Richardson, for a guy who at times last year I was questioning his decision-making, to have some piece of that simplified for him is going to be great. Again, talking about what he has under the hood, the less you can bridle this kid, the less you can have him governed and allow him to just play free and play instinctual football and trust his eyes, that's going to be really good. It's going to allow him to put up big, big numbers because ability has never been the question for him. In addition to that, they're going to make it a point to run the football. I think Anthony Richardson will be a part of that, but last year, Billy Napier's offense at Louisiana ran the ball 57% of the time. That's not to say they're going to take something off his plate throwing the football, but it does say that those linebackers and those edge rushers, they're going to be a little bit more used to having to fill on the run, having to get around the edge and go tackle that running back. And when the defense starts to get tired or they start to get even a little bit too happy to play the run, that's when the defense becomes a lot more susceptible to the deep pass play. And so for Anthony Richardson, with all of his arm talent, with all the things he's able to do throwing the football, again, to have just a more loose picture, to have a more honest defense, all of these things are going to allow him to step into his own as QB1 at Florida. to have less pressure that, okay, when we throw the football, they know it. Even less to be able to know that, hey, they might be expecting the run here because of how often we've run the football on first and second down. We can be a little bit more flexible on 3rd and 2. We don't, we can take a shot on 2nd and 1, whatever it is. To have more flexibility because of what you do in the run game makes your job easier at quarterback. Finally, there's a lot of buzz around the program. We talked about it before. A lot of buzz. Even more so, there is some insight from people close to this program that Anthony Richardson tore it up in the spring. Spring game, yes, but spring games aren't always indicative of what they do in the fall. But Anthony Richardson, by most accounts, did a phenomenal job in the spring. And I think that says something like we talked about with him taking over the team and him taking the next step in this offense, all that. But to be able to be synced up with the receivers is a really good sign. In a new offense, that's a really good sign. And some piece of this that we're not considering either, that people haven't really talked about as much either, is that he's a Gainesville kid. He went to high school 12 minutes from the University of Florida. Some of this is personal for AR. Some of this is a matter of, I'm from here. I'm now the guy here. He said it in SEC Media Day. There's a lot of people that want to be in my position. He's going to take this for all it's worth. There is no foot coming off the gas pedal at all for Anthony Richardson because it's not just a matter of his college career. It's not just a matter of the University of Florida. It's a homegrown, from the soil kind of deal for him. He wants to do right by his community, by his high school, by the people that have his back. It's personal. And when it's personal to you, there's an extra level of preparation you go to. You go through after practice. You go get synced up with the receivers. You might do a couple extra reps in the weight room. You go that extra mile because there's something inside of you that pushes you there. And I think for Anthony Richardson, being from Gainesville, I'm not saying this is the end-all, be-all, but being from Gainesville is something we have to take into account as he gets the keys to the offense this year. I'm excited for him. I really am. There's a lot of good things coming out of the Gators camp for what he's done so far. So finally, being the guy and not having to look over your shoulder, much less pressure, much more mental clarity, going to bode well for Anthony Richardson. The offense itself, by how much they run the ball, by what they do to help him with getting a more clear picture as the quarterback, going to do wonders. Let him play free. Take the governor off this kid. And then finally, a lot of good buzz out of Gators camp, like we mentioned. And the fact that this is personal to him, Gator fans should be excited. That's it for us here on The Hard Count. We appreciate you tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. Very close to 10,000 subscribers. We want you along for the ride. We want you at this party. So we're going to keep the party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.